There is only one emptiness, but different degrees of familiarity with it. Somebody asked me, like, what are the different kinds of emptiness? And I said, there's only one emptiness, but different degrees of familiarity. So the very beginning of one's journey into meditation, spirituality, consciousness, a person gets to know first of all, the inner space, the space in the heart center, in the chest. So when one meditates, one draws their attention into their breath and into the inner space in the chest and heart. Also, one can familiarize that there are some gaps in between thoughts. There are those moments of pauses between one set of thoughts and then another set of thoughts. There is a pause even between each of the thoughts, if one is not so much engaged with them. There are also gaps between the breath. When one breathes in, there is a little pause. When one breathes out, there is a little pause in between. And that's how we start to get to know the emptiness, the space. So in Buddhism, there is a saying that the mind is like a bowl. The mind is like a bowl. There's a certain capacity, a certain amount of stuff that you can fill up in the present size of the mind. And when you meditate, you make this bowl bigger. You expand the bowl of the mind. So you expand the space in which the mind is functioning. And the more there is space, the easier the mind can function. It has more room for its functions. As one progresses along their journey, they find more and more importance of emptiness, more and more importance of space. Because actually it's a place of restfulness. One discovers peace in the emptiness, rest. One can realize that every night you're joyfully going into emptiness, to rest, to sleep, to turn off. So actually it's very beneficial. It's very healing because that's where your mind rests. That's where your waking state consciousness rests. It turns off its tensions, its stresses, and then it rests in that beautiful emptiness. As one continues to meditate deeper, they realize that dreams come up. But dreams are the in between. They're like fluid, like a river, they're fluid. And then the dreams disappear and the beautiful emptiness remains. And one is like, oh, I can even rest from the dreams. Because sometimes dreams are also quite busy and stressful. They're not always, nice. They're reflections. They're reflections of our inner state. Or sometimes simply processing because a person didn't give enough time to process stuff of their day. So they kind of catch up in their dream state. And when they catch up with the day and the dream state, then they're ready to go in a deep sleep state into the emptiness to rest and then to recover, to re-energize. So in the emptiness, we re-energize, we recover. The body is healing. The body is, it's a state of healing. We realize the value of this healing, recovery, restfulness. So then we tend to go into meditation more often, recognizing its value of recovery, of dealing with the mind, dealing with the stresses of life. So that's where meditation then starts to get deeper and kick in more, because the value is already recognized. Once we reach a certain stage, we recognize that perhaps since I'm always resting in the emptiness, and then in a usual state or even in a meditative state, there are energies, perhaps I should rest even from energies in the emptiness. Perhaps even energy work or healing and managing, harmonizing, balancing your energies is also quite a busy thing to do. It's a management. Yeah, it's a certain work to be done. So then you may recognize that my home is still emptiness. It's not the energies. Energies may be nice. Sometimes they're beautiful, harmonious. Sometimes they're a whole big mess. And then you recognize, well, where is home? And then when you harmonize all your energies, yeah, when you harmonize all your energies, all your chakras, your kundalini, like everything is totally harmonious, you enter temporarily a homeostasis. It means a total balance, a total harmony. It's called homeostasis. But if you don't recognize the value of emptiness, you will enjoy the homeostasis for a bit, and then you're going to go back into energy because something changes. And here you go. You need to balance that again as well. So homeostasis is where people really long to come back to it, into this perfect balance and harmony. Yeah, and there is a certain longing, a certain wish, because it feels like everything is absolutely fine. But it's hard to maintain homeostasis because it happens in the background of emptiness. So thus, to stay longer and more in homeostasis, in a perfect balance and harmony, you got to go one step back into the emptiness. And that emptiness becomes a supporting background in which your energies are supported. So that's where the value of beingness arises. The value of beingness rather than doing. Yeah, because even managing your energy is still doing. It's an activity that you do. And the value of beingness in terms of supporting emptiness becomes recognized. And that's where then I say that now we're touching the ground. Now we're touching something much more real, much more solid. And now we can continue all the way to full consciousness to more and more familiarize with emptiness. Yeah, so we see more and more where this true home is. As I mentioned right at the beginning, there's only one emptiness, but different degrees of familiarity. Yes, different degrees of familiarity. There is a saying when it comes to all these energies like bliss and love and joy, it's like a dance. Yeah, it's a dance. You're an ecstatic dance of bliss and love and joy. But how long can you dance? How long does a dance last? Yeah, you dance, it's nice, and then you need to rest, isn't it? And where do you rest? In the same place where you go every single night to very joyfully, very peacefully, going to sleep, going to rest. So you may look at your day as a dance of all the content and activities, and the night as coming back home to rest. However, to make this more permanent, this place of restfulness, we then dive deeper and deeper into the void, what is called the void. It's where we really empty ourselves from content. Yeah, we investigate what other content are we holding? What other stuff are we carrying on our shoulders? Why are we carrying this stuff on our shoulders? Why are we making ourselves heavier? So getting into the void is like surrendering everything into the black hole. But it's not scary, it's not destructive. Um, it only would bring up a fear if one is not familiar with the value and beauty of emptiness. This is the only reason why the fear or unknownness would arise, or the fear of, disappearance or getting lost or non-existence. Um, the famous existential crisis and all those things, they only arise because of lack of familiarity with emptiness. So as we recognize the value and the beauty of emptiness as our true nature, we then surrender easily to it. We then recognize its homeness. Yeah, because your home is not another star system, is not another planet, is not another dimension or space or place. These are temporary places where the soul has incarnated, spent some time, but where is the soul resting? Where is the soul resting? Yeah, not on some other planet or some other place. The soul is resting in the heart of the soul, which is the emptiness. So that's where Buddha has brought this term emptiness, because he recognized that it is the fundamental background, the fundamental home, reality upon which the soul is experienced, and all the forms and names and objects and places, environments are experienced. In terms of awareness, actually, we first recognize the light of awareness. We recognize that we're always aware. Then we recognize the transparency of awareness. Then we recognize the emptiness of awareness. And that is what I call the natural awareness. Yeah, the natural awareness is the full consciousness. Yeah, so I can repeat just a little bit. The light of awareness, that's the usual first step. Then the the transparency of awareness, and then the emptiness of awareness. Yeah, we recognize that it doesn't matter what you do, you're always aware. Yeah, even when you're dreaming, you are aware. Perhaps when you are in a deep sleep state, that's where you are not aware. In a deep sleep state, that's when you're absolutely surrendered to the emptiness. Yeah, so every night you're willingly and you know that you're gonna have a good rest, hopefully a good sleep, and you're gonna wake up refreshed, recovered, because who is gonna help you out? Emptiness is gonna help you out. Your real home is gonna help you out. So as you develop clearer awareness, sharper awareness, the light of awareness, the transparency of awareness, you may then start letting go of awareness. You can start letting go of awareness. You don't need to hold it and focus on it. You start letting go of awareness into the natural transparency of awareness, into the emptiness of awareness. Yeah, for any of you who is really resonating with this, I can tell you now, let go of your awareness for a second. And that is a relaxation. It's a relief. You're instantly relaxed. You don't have to be tense to be aware. You can relax. You can let go of awareness. Don't worry, you're not going to lose it. The only thing you may lose is your control, your tensions. It's like, oh, I should not forget awareness. I should not forget awareness. Yeah, try to forget awareness right now. Try to forget it. Try to even lose it for a second. Can you lose awareness for a second? Try it. Unless you're in a deep sleep state, I haven't met anyone who can lose their awareness. Like really, lose it, really. Yeah. So that's where we recognize the naturalness of awareness. It's always here. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to keep it, control it, or you should relax and let go and surrender. And that's how you then dive even deeper into emptiness. So the emptiness is supportive. In this emptiness, we recognize the final state of awareness, which is the natural awareness. So you're automatically aware. And that's, we could say, is the awakened emptiness. So there's a transitory step, which is the void. And the void contains letting go of the content, letting go of unconsciousness, letting go of what you're holding on to that you don't know what you're holding on to. You're holding on to, but you don't know it because there are things that you take for granted. There are things that you take for granted. Yeah, there are certain things that you hold. The things that you take for granted are many times they're completely normal things, like knowing that I am human. This is completely normal thing. We take it for granted because we all are human beings. But you should not be conditioned by it. You should not be limited by that knowing that you are a human being. So these are the deepest hardwired functions, the deepest hardwired kind of software, we could say. Like if you know a bit about computers, this is the BIOS, that kind of fundamental code. I am human. Of course, I am human. No, this is a fundamental code. Just like a cat knows it's a cat, a dog knows it's a dog, you know that you're a human being. It's hard, it's obvious. We take it for granted. So these are some of the things that we can meet in the unconsciousness, but more likely we would meet something that is a bit more conditioned, a bit more limiting, a bit more suppressive. And that's what we release in the void. Yeah, because you're already familiar with emptiness to such a degree that you're really okay to not know anything. You're really okay to just relax into unknownness. It's like, you're meditating and you're saying, I'm truly okay to go into a deep sleep state, but with awareness. And to follow a stream, how your mind is falling asleep and you're shifting into the dream state and then into a deep sleep state, but you maintain a certain awakeness, and thus you enter the unconsciousness with the light of awakeness. And that's where you reveal those deepest things from the unconsciousness. So generally, it's not so challenging. It's not so difficult, actually, of course, with some help. And that's where you can then uncover those deepest tones, deepest things that you kind of forgot, or you don't even knew you were having this or holding upon it, or something you took it for granted. So we let go further, we let go deeper. You see, it's a process of letting go deeper and deeper and deeper, and relaxing more into this emptiness. So the light, the beingness of presence supports the emptiness because we recognize the value of being rather than doing. Then we recognize the value of awareness because it is always present. It's something that is really, really always present. So it gives you strength and support to further surrender to emptiness. And then we encounter the void, the unconsciousness, to willingly and joyfully let go even more. Yeah, and then we pop out into, divine love and more light and stronger awareness into higher levels of consciousness. And then we realize no matter how big the bliss, the light, the strength of awareness is, the completion comes in the recognition of this naturalness of awareness, that no matter what comes up, no matter what appears or disappears, there is a stability, there is a ground, unshakable ground of this natural emptiness, naturally aware emptiness. And this is the only ground, the only reality, or the absolute reality, which is unmovable, unshakable, no matter what appears, no matter what happens. And that's where there are some famous teachers, saying the world is an appearance, the dream state is an appearance, the unconsciousness is an appearance, and all the gods and goddesses are appearances too in the ultimate reality. And this ultimate reality is very familiar, first of all. You all know it. You all deeply know it, because if you wouldn't know it, it would not be natural. It would not be real. It would not be stable. Yeah, so something in you knows it, somewhere deeper knows it as your real home, as something unmovable, unshakable. And that's where the longing is. That's where the desire is. That's why the mind is bugging you, because it says something is incomplete. It's not fully yet, such. And how the reason, because you feel that, because the reason, because you know that something is not fully complete, that is your GPS, because it also means that you must know what is completion. If you know what is a limitation, you automatically know what is being unlimited, or what is being restful in freedom, resting in freedom. Not necessarily unlimited that, you will start to fly and walk on the water and define all the laws of physics. You should probably train for that, for most of your lifetime. But you recognize the naturalness of that freedom, restfulness, in other words, completion. So the reason that you may not feel so is because you know at the same time that there is a possibility of completion, that there is a possibility of something deeper, that what is bothering you is something which is unnecessary. What is bothering you is something which is no longer needed. Find out, what is it? That which is bothering you is your GPS saying, I don't need this thing anymore because it's bothering me already. I don't need this thing anymore because it's bothering me already. Yeah. If a person is happy with their mental roller coaster or emotional roller coaster, they have no idea that there is something deeper. They just live habitually, automatically. But when people start awakening, they know that there is something more, something deeper. And the same way, you automatically know that you don't need this anymore, the thing that is bothering you. So you see, this is the clarity of immediacy of the intelligence that you have. The clarity of immediacy of the intelligence that you have, intrinsic intelligence, beyond thoughts, beyond your understanding, beyond your mind. Something in you knows the awakened emptiness. Yeah, because it recognizes that which is not the awakened emptiness, that which is an obstacle, that which is bothering. Yeah, that which is in its way. So therefore, if you very gently approach it, very gently approach it, and that's real big emphasis, very gently approach that which is bothering you. And you could even do a meditation to bring in front that which bothers you, bring it in front of you as another person. Yeah, let's say it's a judgment or fear or at the deeper level, you say the I or something else. Just bring it in front of you as an entity and meet it gently. Let this entity tell you the story of why it's there and how things happen, that it's within you. You have a connection with it, a relationship with it. And when you bring it as a separate entity, you may find a resolution. healing happening. And that's how you submerge it and resolve it into your natural emptiness that you are. Yeah, and that's what we usually do between the void and full consciousness. We look upon like what is being held. What is being held? You know, what is your point of reference? You know, what is the point of reference? From which point are you referring? Are you experiencing? Yeah, and many people can recognize when you're experiencing from emptiness and when you're experiencing from something more limited, and that feels uncomfortable. And then they say, I want to get rid of it. But getting rid of it is the best way is as I described, you know, meet it gently, softly, as a separate entity, talk to it, just be with it, heal it, reconcile, and be liberated, be free. Yeah, because then as you approach the full consciousness, and even as you step into the full consciousness, you realize that you are this background, this aware, naturally aware emptiness. And that's why it's called pure consciousness. But then it starts to make, you know, what is pure, what is consciousness, what is impure, and this and that. You know, pure means which is untouchable. It means it cannot be um, limited. It cannot be, it cannot be um, stained, and so on. So, how can emptiness be touched? How can emptiness be stained? How can emptiness itself be limited in any sort of way? It cannot. The only thing it can be limited is the point of reference that you may narrow down into and feel the discomforting experience from it. But even as you do so, the natural emptiness kind of stays more in the background. It's still here, more in the background. But right now, you more assume yourself as a reference point. So thus you feel the discomfort. But if you know, the stabilization into full consciousness is realization that it's okay if sometimes my point of reference arises. You know, if my point of reference is just another appearance. And when you become okay with the points of reference or the points of limitation, it means that the emptiness is becoming stronger than those points of references. And sometimes, you know, some older energy arises, some incomplete cycle arises, it grabs you a bit more. You know, you feel that contraction in the heart or the eye. But if you know, as you stabilize more and more in the self or the awakened emptiness, you instantly recognize it's fine. You know, right now it's fine. Right now I feel, you know, it feels limiting. And the I says, I am limited. But the awakened emptiness knows it's a dance, it's a play. Right now I'm an actor. You know, like right now I'm just the actor. You know, sometimes you need to act some stuff out. Sometimes you gotta be the father. Sometimes you gotta be the mother. Sometimes you gotta be, a manager or colleague or friend, or you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. So that's why the sage is can play the game of life but not be bothered by it. Yeah, the sage can be in life, can function in life. If the sage is not functional in life, the sage might be not complete in himself. if they're sitting in the cave and saying, "Oh, go away, don't bother me," I want to be alone, that means a certain incompletion. But when the sage is settled into this unbotheredness, there is that completion. And you can be in life, you can do all that you gotta do, because this form is useful. This form is useful. It's an expression of life. It has a role to play in this society, in this civilization, in this reality of human experience. So the form is useful, the body is useful to play its role, but you are unbothered by the role. So you become like a movie star. You become the Tom Cruise, you become the Julia Roberts, or whoever else you admire in the Hollywood, and because you are okay to play your role in the movie, but that this is a movie, you're playing a role, you're really not this body, not this act being acted out. And then you have this amazing wonder. Wow, this is an amazing movie. It's a real life Hollywood, that we're all playing into. Yeah, because when you pass away, you're gonna go one step up into astral or higher place, and you then gonna rewind the movie. You're gonna replay it. See, oh wow, this Hollywood thing for the last 18 years, or 80 years plus minus, was really an act. And the soul and the self was the witness of it. So that's why in the awakened emptiness, you are okay to be yourself, first of all. You don't have to pretend to be anybody else. You don't have to pretend to be, anybody else. You can just really be yourself. You can play your role. You can do what you gotta do. Yeah, and it's okay. It's fine. Um, Maybe as a little precaution, I will say that when people are more like in presence, non-duality, even awareness, they many times they do have a sense of what I'm saying now. But if people justify harmful actions, saying that oh I had to hurt someone because they need to learn this lesson, there is a certain incompletion there. There is a certain, probably a justification. It usually would come up as like, as a bit of arrogance. Yeah, as a bit of arrogance and kind of coldness or carelessness. So that would be a sign of a precautionary sign of a certain incompletion, that a person probably is not yet in the full consciousness, because a person in full consciousness would be more humble, would have more humility, more compassion, and more deeper way of meeting, so to speak, another, seeing better another. Yeah, so these qualities are important, because that way you don't create extra karma. You don't create extra karma. If you like arrogantly if you're arrogantly dismissive, you may hurt people, and even damage people in many ways. I know quite a few non-dual teachers which can be very blunt and just really be destructive in people's psychology. That's not the good way. No, I'm sorry, that's not the good way of doing things, because there's disbalance generated. There's a disbalancing energy generated, and then it has a certain karmic effect that is being generated. Karma means error, the kind of disbalance, error. So that's what gets generated. So humility, humbleness, compassion, you know, true understanding of another does not generate karmic consequences. Yeah, so therefore, stabilization in this emptiness, familiarization with the emptiness along our journey. If you expect that, in full consciousness, you're going to be sitting full of love and bliss and not caring about anything else, you're aiming for something transitory, for something temporary. Get familiar with emptiness, with being okay not to know, to be empty, to be here, to be open. Open for bliss, but open for pain too. Yeah, open for love, open for heartbreak. Yeah, open for everything. And that way, without cultivating this openness and emptiness and naturalness and being yourself. Another word is authenticity, being more and more authentically yourself are the qualities of somebody who is more complete, somebody who is more integrated. Yeah, and that's where we're aiming at. And as you settle in more and more into yourself, into your own naturalness, and then you polish up, and then maybe bliss becomes more permanent. Maybe other qualities become more permanent depending on your constitution and on your energetic um, you know combination that you are. So things become more and more natural. For some people, peace. For some people, various qualities can arise, like heartful qualities or intelligent qualities or just peaceful qualities. All sorts of qualities are can arise for different people because we are different. There are many different teachers. So what is natural to you will arise and become more and more polished up. So that is the beauty of natural emptiness. And therefore, we can see that the whole journey from being stuck in the head to the inner space, to the gaps between your thoughts, leads deeper and deeper and deeper into this natural emptiness. Yeah, in which awareness is normal, it's automatic, it's always here, in which things come and go, and you are this openness, emptiness in which things come and go. And I remember at the very uh, I could say that the first spiritual book that I received as a gift was called Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. And it really beautifully uh, captivated my attention of the completeness of its expression. And it's a little book. It has like 70 or 80 short verses, like little poems. And it's just so deep in wisdom in its completeness. Yeah, and just today, I got to reopen it and got to read a few quotes from this book, and it's just like, oh, it's still so much in my heart. It's such a beautiful completeness of expression of it. So I would highly recommend all of you to get a copy of it, Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. Maybe somebody can write in the chat if you know it, the title, because you will get a sense of what I'm talking about today much more. Yeah, that's where things are become like one complete whole, open emptiness, open reality, stable, grounded, unshakable, and movable.